Do you want to learn about autistic child behavior? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about autistic behaviors in children. In this video, we're going to have some insights into autistic child behavior. And we are also going to be talking about a calm, skills-based approach to parenting that can help your autistic child thrive. Everybody's different, and that includes autistic children, so I don't want to put anybody in a box with this video, because just because somebody is autistic doesn't mean that they have one of these behaviors. But what I'm going to talk about right now are some of the most common behaviors that you might see in an autistic child. One of those is this rigidity, okay? This feeling like, don't change, don't move my cheese. I have a plan and I want to stick to this plan. That's a really common characteristic among autistic children, and basically what they need to overcome that or to have help adapting to the life of things constantly changing is they need a skill. And there's a self-government skill that you can teach them that can help with that. That skill is accepting no answers. When things don't go their way, they need to learn how to accept a no answer. They need to learn to drop the subject. Super important. Because of that rigid mindset, there's usually some anxiety that is leading to some of that rigid thinking. And it's kind of black and white thinking. They don't want to make a change, so they can oftentimes become very opinionated. Sometimes even in the things that they say, very like broken record, like, no, we can't. No, we can't. And they'll sometimes seem a little bit pushy, a little bit aggressive or dominating just because of that rigid tendency that they can have. The anxiety associated with not having things change or adjust can actually lead to meltdowns. It can lead to people running away, other different types of control tactics where they are shutting down because they don't want to deal with it. A person who is autistic can get overwhelmed just because of the way that their brain fires and the different chemicals that are dumped because of that anxiety, that increased sense of anxiety. So what do you do if a person is going to be that rigid and feel anxious more often and maybe even have some of these breakdown type behaviors? Well, the first thing you can do is prepare them for success before any bad moment ever comes or any change ever comes for them. So this is where you would do pre-teaching. So this whole channel is about self-government, and if you've subscribed to this channel already, then you know that I talk all the time about skills for parents, skills for children, things that lead people to self-government. And one of those really important skills in self-government is pre-teaching. You should never hold anybody accountable to your parenting rules or principles, however you want to think of them, unless you've pre-taught them ahead of time. So you tell someone, okay, we are going to learn the skill of disagreeing appropriately, or we are going to learn the skill of accepting a no answer, following instructions, accepting consequences, fill in the blank. We are going to learn this skill. Now, if we don't do this skill, this is how the correction will go. This is what will happen. What you'll find with your autistic child is they'll learn the skill faster than you do, and then they'll tell you when you should have corrected them. That is the funniest thing. When some of my foster children were autistic, they would say to me, Nicholeen, can I disagree appropriately with you? And I would say, okay. And they would say, I understand that right now you're busy cooking dinner and everything else, but you just didn't notice that I did not finish following instructions because I didn't check back. I'd be like, okay. And they would self-report on themselves, out themselves, because they knew how it was supposed to go. And if I didn't do my part, they were going to make sure that I understood the part that I was missing. Really some incredible ability to track pieces of things, lots of pieces and what's going on, but they sometimes get overwhelmed if you throw pieces in they're not expecting. So just teach them what to expect, give them a framework, something that they can hold on to, and they'll actually be very happy. A lot of autistic websites will actually refer to my website, teachingselfgovernment.com, because it's so predictable and it decreases the anxiety. Let's talk a little bit about the aggression that can happen and some of the physical things that can happen with autistic children. Now, again, there's a spectrum, right? So some autistic kids aren't aggressive at all, and then others can be violent. When they get frustrated, they can start hitting and bonking and rocking and shaking. And sometimes they yell at other people, they tear people down. It can seem very bullyish. It can be hard to handle in a family. Some autistic children are aggressive with themselves more than with others. They've learned that if they get aggressive with other people, it's bad. And so they still want to be physical. They'll start being physical with themselves and hitting their heads against walls and stuff like that. There's a reason why anyone actually does that, if we're going to be completely honest. It's not really unique to autism. But when a person gets aggressive, when they're starting to feel dysregulated in their head, and things are starting to feel like they don't make sense, they're not tracking things, they're getting overloaded with chemical in their head, then what happens is they want to go toward an endorphin release. If they can get endorphins to release in their brain, then that will then trigger a calming response to come afterward. And so if they start hitting or hurting themselves going through that process, or hitting and fighting with somebody else, this causes a huge endorphin release, which then afterward makes them feel like something big occurred. They can assume that maybe they were understood or that they solved a problem, or at the very least they just get that chemical calm that comes after going through that big workout of that aggression that they decided to do at that time. When a person has a tendency to be aggressive like that, or even to do self-harm, there has to be a stopping place for that. Obviously, there's like soft hold techniques and stuff like that. If someone is going to be really, really dangerous, I'm not going to go into that training right now, but there are just words, there are scripts that you can use that you can pre-teach your autistic child ahead of time. In fact, you can use them for the whole family. Anything on this channel is actually for the whole family. It was designed for neurodiverse people, but it's really just common sense, basic skills. So what you do is you teach your child ahead of time. If your brain starts to make it so you can't think straight, or you're starting to act out, then we're going to say this word. We're going to say, it seems to me you might be out of instructional control. I'm going to start the rule of 3. So then there's this process that we're going to go through where we have 3 things 3 times, and we help you choose to go to front brain again. If you can explain to your autistic child what's happening in their brain with the chemicals, which in my book, The Power of Calm, it goes into a lot more detail about those brain chemicals. If you can figure that out and teach that to them, and then you can help them learn the skills that they need to go to that front brain right in the moment when they're starting to slip into back brain, that will be liberating for them. And using the rule of 3, which can have some consequences attached to it if they don't make good choices, but it will help them choose calmness because they have to pick it. Another behavior that is super commonplace for autistic children is having poor social skills. They blurt things out, they talk too much, they maybe don't talk enough, and they withdraw. They don't understand what people are thinking, they have a hard time reading them. Some people are, struggle with this more than others, but that can be a really common thing that you deal with. And so what I highly recommend is really conscious training of your autistic child, making sure that you teach them. Did you see that look that person had? That's what it means. Did you see this look that I made for myself? This is what it means. If you see that look, now you know what it means. If you start to decode their world by telling them more and more things about how people communicate, they will guess and fail many, many times, but they will also get it right sometimes, and they will get better and better at trying to figure that out. You might have to create little cues for them. You might have a hand signal of some sort. In the book Born Lucky, about a really famous autistic news reporter, he talks about how his dad trained him when to talking and when it was okay to start talking again. He would tap his watch. They'd be sitting at a table and he would tap his watch, and then the second he tapped his watch, Lucky knew, I've got to stop talking. Even if he was mid-sentence, Lucky would just stop talking, which again is another bad social skill, but we had to learn one first, right? And so that's what Lucky did. He became a person that was known the world over for his accomplishments in journalism, aviation, and otherwise. Really a prodigy in so many ways, but had a hard time getting along with people and having friends. And that's because he had those struggles with the social skills. So create a system ahead of time, consistently follow through. What is that system? I can help you with that. The teaching self-government system is perfect for what you're dealing with. You can find out all about that system in my next video, which is the not so known secret for parenting success. Click on the link to that video next. I'll see you there.